Henri and Mike, episode 20, season 1. The ideas that we have here, can we make it into realization?
After 19 episodes, working through the differences in terms of style, communicating, and ideas, that partnership worked out well.
Hello everybody, welcome to a new episode, season finale, episode 20 of Henri and Mike. Today is the 19th of August 2022. It is a Friday. At the moment, it's about 12:57 p.m, like noontime.
We are at Singapore Botanic Gardens in 2015. This garden in Singapore has been inscribed into UNESCO World Heritage Site as one of them. You will not be worried that maybe 100 years from now, this place will be gone, you see.
I'm just glad that they're not going to build out any more further, infrastructure, and they can keep the greens here. It's really, really stunning, beautiful. And all the tall trees that have been here for years. It's just stunning. And I love the flowers here as well. Sometimes they have the symphony in the park, whereby you can just sit around doing your own picnics and appreciate and view what's going on over there.
So this place was established when Sir Stamford Raffles, the founder of Singapore, came to Singapore, probably 1823 or 25, around that period. Later on, it was closed, but it was reopened again in 1859 by the Arty Horticultural Society back then. And then they handed this entire place back to the Singapore government. At the very start, this place was used as an economic gardens. I guess the British were trying to plant things like coffee, rubber, chocolate, so that they can sell to the surrounding countries around back then. Fast forward 100 odd years later, this place is famous for its historical tree, big one, as well as, orchids. There is actually a Singapore National Orchid Garden here
around the corner.
Other than that, there's a lot of flowers and plants that's unique to the entire Southeast Asia tropical weather and climate. I was telling Henry, this garden has a very different vibe as compared to other gardens and parks around Singapore. This is a very European, British kind of vibe. Because a typical Singapore park, usually you will find it around the neighborhood, so they don't have such features in terms of architecture like what you see here, the bandstand at the back. This is one of the first few photos that will pop up if you Google Singapore Botanic Gardens. It's a historical site after all.
So, all this little history aside, let's start our episode. Today's the episode 20. It has been a while. We started in February this year, And
now it's August, so it has been six months. Right?
Yeah. How time flies. Throughout the whole of this process, we did pick up a lot of new set of skill.
Exactly.
Yeah, and which is really good. And we're also very glad to show you guys, part of Singapore that we truly, truly love. Not necessarily the touristic area, but when you come to Singapore, this is something that you have to experience to engage with the local, the essence of Singapore, Singaporean spirit, so to say. So Mike, how's the week?
Great. It's Friday after all. Love it. TGIF, really. It has been a busy week. So many things, running errands again and working. And of course, putting time and effort into our Henri and Mike project. Brainstorming about how to wrap up season 1, how does it make sense to us, and really planning forward as well, looking forward to the next season, whatever else that are in the pipelines, you see.
So for this episode, we are not going to talk about what's your words.
Yes.
We're doing like a summary and a conclusion of what we have done or experienced for the last
6 months and
19 episodes. So
yeah.
we kind of summarized into 5 different questions that we would like to ask each other. So Mike, the first question to you is, how would you see growth and relationships now after those topics that we have discussed in season 1?
I think when we first started this entire Henri and Mike, one of our key tenets and purpose was to navigate 30s. Through that process, we realized that we are focusing a lot on personal development, professional development in terms of growth, right? And then also relationship, how it relates to our daily lives, friends, family, colleagues, and all that. At the end of 19 episodes, 19 sets of words, what I realized is that I'm definitely in the process of growing as a person, be it professionally, career-wise, as well as personal part of things. But what's important is through the people, the relationship that I have with that give me like a feedback, leverage on their perspective, their experience to tell me who I am as a person while I am also going through that, and craft up something that is more customized and targeted for my growth that I want it to be. A lot of time, we always want to grow internally. So I think throughout these 19 episodes, we explored things like love, empathize with people, trying to seek deeper into what are some of the values that we stand for. So these are very internal things. But there's always this behavioral aspect of your personal growth, where even career growth, professional growth, that you express it outward. I think in one of the episodes we talk about expression, right? So it's what you internalize, what you think you are, then you express it out. With that expression, you will have a response from the people, the relationship part of things. And then that gives you like a sounding board, a mirror for you to see, oh, okay, I thought that I'm going towards A. People are telling me B. Okay, is it A that I'm going towards, or should I be thinking more about B and act a fusion between A and B to have a C? Something like that.
I think for myself, when I look at the whole 19 episode that we have done so far, for me in terms of growth and relationship growth, I think I focus a lot on the internal growth, because external, I do it through CrossFit, yoga, just to really tackle the mental health and make me feel happier and lighter to start the day when I finish the sports, you see.
Right.
Do I really care about what other people say, the external factors? Not so much compared to in my 20s. I think I kind of move away from that more. I also feel like I'm in the transition of getting to know myself more, based on what I've experienced so far, what I've encountered, be the people, be the scenario, the situations. So to really kind of engage with my inner core. So I think for the whole of the season 1, it's really about internal growth for me. And there was quite a few episodes that really deeper. So I have this internal conversation with myself. The topic for me, when I thought about it, is of all these 19, a lot of it's really to the self-trust. I need to trust myself more that certain ideas that I have, I can actually turn that into reality. It can be difficult, it can be challenging, but it's doable. So that's something that I'll take away with season 1. In terms of relationship-wise, I think this relationship part definitely is to spend the quality time with the loved one, like family and friends. But at the same time, it is also how I spend it, like where I spend it. So I'm still working towards that 6 months in Europe and 6 months in Asia. But I think this year, I have met my target of spending 6 months in Asia, like more than that actually. This is the 7th month, I think. I still enjoy it. It came at a different form, certain situation that occur, we are going through that at the moment, the motion. But I'm still very appreciative of where we are today, and we are making use of the time to build this Henri and Mike. So question 2.
Okay, come.
What's the biggest takeaway for you from season 1?
I think a big part of me while doing and producing season 1 in terms of pre-production and post-production, I start to realize that there's this part about me that I need to softer, open myself up, drop my ego more, drop my defense mechanism more, be more receptive to constructive feedback, which will make me think critically about what people are telling me, what I am doing, have a stand about that, and then act out on what I want to do. It's a very subconscious realignment and refinement or fine-tuning, if you want to call it, within me. Through that process, you will learn a lot more things that you thought you already know. Because many of the times when I'm doing the past 19 episodes, I have my thinking. You have yours. And then when we try to spar and give each other ideas, I find that I have always wanted to do the way I want things to be done, and without considering a lot of the points which were all valid in hindsight. While I was doing the newsletter, trying to wrap things up, that's where I realized that, hey, maybe at that moment, the ego took over too much. The defense mechanisms start to show, So I need to soften that and balance it together with that listening, so that I can think critically, more critically on the spot. That will help me to fine-tune the stand that I have, to get to know the position much stronger. And of course, learning while doing, because if I close the door right at the very start, and I don't open too much, that learning will not take place, you see. So I think this is definitely the biggest takeaway I have. So this is something that in season 2 or 3 or 4 and more to come, I want to see the improvement in myself, as this biggest takeaway and act upon it. So that is something genuine from my side.
For me, there are 2 keywords here. So the first one is to be patient.
To be
and
patient.
The second one is at peace with myself. I started to work with you for this whole season, and I see what are my working method and modes. And that's sometime that probably before I have not realized it, because I was in an environment whereby everyone's doing the same thing. I focus a lot on the implementation and also the practical side of it, like the delivery, especially on a time frame and to get things out in a qualitative manner. So that's why a lot of time I kind of worry about whether we can make the deadline for it before the next episode come out, publish, with all the pre and post-production, everything settled. At times, I need to be patient with myself that, hey, Henry, it is okay that you're doing this, you're pushing it, but you also need to be patient that no matter how visionary we want Henri and Mike to go, it will always take some time to get there. So that's the process of it.
Okay.
And when you're doing a project, what's very beautiful is the process itself. And not necessarily a destination. It's just that years ago, more than 10 years ago, when we walked the Camino, it is never really the destination at Santiago de Compostela, but it is the journey from the very beginning when we started in Burgos and all the way to Santiago de Compostela. Every single day, we put in the effort to walk those paths and to reach that Santiago de Compostela. And when you look back, those are the different moments that actually add up to your final destination. And a similar metaphor can be used to describe Henri and Mike, this journey right now. So a lot of time, we're really focusing on the end result. Like you want Henri and Mike to take off and really giving values to the audience, to share the challenges and the obstacles that we are encountering in our 30s. So perhaps that will be valuable for other people, but also for us, it is like a reflection of our own journey. So I think years later, when we look back, you know exactly where you are at that point of time. So I think patience is one thing. And the second thing is more at peace with myself. It is always like I want to push things out, but at the same time, there's the external factor that you can't control. When that's the case, then you need to trust yourself that, hey, Henri, you have done enough. And this is just how it is, in a way you can rest in peace, so to say.
Exactly. I think one of the episodes, if I'm not wrong, should be episode 5. I think we talk about trust. And this is also the same point that you brought up. You got to learn to trust the system, trust yourself, most importantly, and trust the impact of what you have done.
I think certain virtue like this, like patience or be at peace with yourself or working on your ego, it is a lifelong lesson. It's really like finding that balance point. How do you work towards that, whether you can be at ease with it, at the end of the day. Question 3, which episode is the hardest and the most challenging to tackle?
It's very straightforward for the selection of the episode. It will be intermission and death is done at home. Yes, that's the one. The topic about death, it is very difficult for me. My reasoning to that is because everybody face death in their life. Your own death, people you're close to. So I have not had that opportunity to face somebody else who's close to me in terms of death. Actually, the one that I'm talking about is actually your immediate parents and your siblings. These are the kind of things that will come about probability-wise. It will come in your 20s, 30s, 40s. And when you go through the episode, what happened to me was that I start to look for answers within me and from people around, be it close friends, even you as siblings, basically people around. And what I realized that there are two groups. One is those that have been through it. They will be able to empathize 100% and they have a way to connect with you and tell you what you're feeling, how you can go through it in your own way. As compared to the other group is they try to be there for you, but it doesn't quite help because they don't have the experience. So that's where I realized that because I do not have the experience, I look for external experiences to help myself. But in the end, the answers still lie within me. I have to find that peace. I need to find a closure, an answer within me when it comes to death. No one can tell me how I'm going to react, how I should react, how I should think. No one other than myself. And that's where I would like to borrow the word that you use. You got to trust yourself, your journey. It is a process that one, as an individual, have to go through in life and face. It's one of the biggest lessons. When we did the episode in terms of research of the episode, reading up, talking about it, talking to people, it was just so hard to digest because there was so much emotions that come with it. So a lot of times emotion blurs what you're doing. Trying to approach it irrationally, despite you trying to be rational, is not the easiest thing. So I find that episode, intermission and death, to be the hardest.
I thought of that episode as well. I mean, of course, that episode, intermission and death, affected me a lot as well. But right after that episode, I was reading this book by the Taiwanese writer called Zhang Manjuan. She wrote a book called 我辈中人.
我辈中人, okay.
People of our generation, people who actually has parents who are facing death, who become handicapped, and who just need more care from their family, their loved one around. And then how you should integrate that kind of responsibility into your life. I thought it was that intermission and death episode, but when I look further down, it wasn't really. Because Zhang Manzhen's book gave me certain comfort in the answer that I couldn't get. The episode I would say is the one we did it in the T chapter. It's called Commitment and Inward, especially the inward part. Because in inwards, we discuss about the difference between feeling and emotion. Link back to intermission and death. Why is it that it's hard? It's because I didn't have the experience. I do have the emotion, but I don't necessarily understand that emotion. So that's why the feelings that come out of the emotions make it more difficult. And there's a confusion there. My takeaway is that by digging deeper within you, you understand what exactly that emotion is. And you know you need to use certain vocabulary, the precise vocabulary to describe that. So once you know how it is described and where it comes from, it will be helpful for you to tackle the feeling part of the reaction. And note that I do agree with you, you associate with yourself people who are in a similar situation in that case. For instance, like people whose parents have passed away or who have gone through that period of time. But only those people who actually dig deeper to work through that. I was just chatting with this Aussie friend of mine that I used to study in Australia.
Okay.
We have not seen each other for many, many years, like more than 10 years, ever since I left Australia. We're just chatting on Instagram chat the other day, and I feel her presence so strongly over there because her mom passed away when we were all studying in Australia. I remember she will come to the campus and we'll do like a paper crane. We're folding the Japanese paper crane as a form of wishes that she can recover.
Okay.
But when she was sharing with me, she said that, during that period of time, she was just in emotion. She couldn't really deal with all the emotion that's inside. So she only dealt with it years later when her mom passed away. And that I can really connect in a sense that what we are doing right now is really going through the emotion. Part of the emotion, I think I have processed, but the other part of it, or the more part of it, I think it will come when the time comes. And just that how and what method do I use to deal with it? I don't know. Of course, I'll be sad when you go deeper, like what's the emotion behind it, because you have such a strong connection to your parents, for instance. So I think for the whole 19 episode, commitment and inward, that episode discussing about feeling and emotion is the toughest for me.
Actually, to sidetrack a bit, go back to the previous question, what is the biggest takeaway? I think other than peace and also patience, emotions might be another one that you can continue to work on, especially with what you have just said.
Question 4. What strength of ours should we work on further to solidify the collaboration and make the team stronger?
After working together for 6 months, I still realize that I'm good at supporting, facilitating that process, going into the nitty-gritty, get the hands dirty to craft out that pillars, making it work. Why I use the word support is I find a lot of comfort in you being somebody who is broad with good taste because your exposure is much more in life. That gave me a lot of comfort that you bring great ideas. One of the episodes, I think we'll talk about vision. I associate vision with you because you are able to bring the big ideas and then make me see. I'm convinced then the support element of things will start to come in. Henri say, "Hey, Mike, here I am. Okay, I interpret it. Okay, great. And I'll talk to you. I'll build it this way. And then you're like, yeah, I think that's great. We can go towards that."
Yeah.
So I feel that partnership from that perspective worked out well after 19 episodes, working through the differences in terms of style, communicating, and ideas.
Every single week.
It's like, constantly poking.
Yeah.
Like, hey, why is it? Of course, I feel frustrated sometimes, but it still doesn't take away that strength in you being visionary and the strength in what I have in trying to support the idea and getting the hands dirty to do the groundwork. And then you also agreeing and doing it with me. So I feel that strength is something that I will continue to bring in and work on and enhance even further in the future seasons and episodes to come.
When I look at myself to this point of my life, is there are certain strengths they are inborn, certain strengths that are nurtured. I want to focus on inborn, like something that comes natural to me. I'm more like a visionary. I see the big picture, the macro picture, and then I'll move towards the directions. And something that's the strength that's nurtured is like the particularity, the details part. I can do it too. I won't be able to do it like 100%, but I've been trained to do that. So those are the things that I would think step by step too. But probably in terms of structure-wise, I might not be as structured as you. So what I really care about is the ideas that we have here. Can we make it into realization? The final product, like a video, like a podcast that people are listening, people are watching. Because that's important. Because when you do something, you need to push it out so people can see your work. And then you, at the same time, see your own documentary in that sense, where you have come from.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's a strength the vision and the macro view in that sense. These 6 months has brought us to different level in terms of understanding each other deeper, how we work,
How we are wired.
how we are wired, how we really work and function, be it something that we are like born with or something that we got nurtured through our own experiences later on. With that, then we come to our
Final question.
right? What can the audience look forward to season 2?
Season 1, we focus a lot on self-growth, the relationship from self-perspective. We are also trying to create something here. I think it would be great to tap into the experience of those that are around us, those who are in the 30s, 40s, 50s. Learn from their experiences, learn from the failures that they have. What comes to me from here is, because we're also building something about Henri and Mike. As a business, we're trying to build a brotherhood, building focus. So maybe entrepreneurship. Sometimes when I think about entrepreneurs, they take risk.
Yeah.
They know what's going on. They're living, they're being, and they make things happen. I feel like maybe in season 1, we have enough now about ourselves, knowing what and who we stand for. And as we are building, we should tap into all this good wisdom out there. We go through the journey, learn from them, and build something out.
The reason why entrepreneurship is because majority of us, we are working a corporate life. So we're kind of very used to this kind of concept working. But the thing is, in order for you to create something that's truly yours and then really listening to your intuition, that's the part that not a lot of people really follow through. So when you look at the generation nowadays, people who are younger, like in their teens, in their 20s, they all have been doing it, and some of them are very, very successful. And this is the thing that we did not trust ourselves to do it before. Even at the 30s, when I try out this thing, I do have a lot of fear, imposter syndrome, just uncertainty, because there's always like, what if everything does not work out and stuff like that. So I think we have come a long way that we actually crossed those lines and then we are doing it and producing. So in some way, that fear, uncertainty, imposter syndrome, how the society look at you, balancing between your finances, your resources, all those things will always be there. But do you really live a truly authentic life that's truly yours, pursuing what you believe in? That's another story. And that's a story that everyone should really ask themselves. So by doing this, season 2, we seek to look from the perspective of sports. That's what Mike's interested in. And then I'll be looking more into artist perspective in terms of entrepreneurship to bring out that valuable lessons with the business acumen to our audience, but also for us, because we have to do the research, we have to do the readings. For me, the artistic part is something that I want to kind of re-engage myself with that part, because when I start doing more art, creating, I feel a sense of joy. You do see your ideas into realization, like in a video form, in a newspaper, newsletter, or any other social media platform, like the whole artistic thing that you push it out. So that's very satisfactory.
I think you got it spot on as well. I'm into sports, and the reason behind that is also the challenge you face from a personal perspective, and also the team challenge, because there are sports, there are team sport, there are sports, there are individual. And I think what I see as a commonality between sportsmen and also entrepreneur is like the never say die spirit. Whatever that comes, they will take it, process it, find out the risk, get to the risk that they are willing to take, and then make it happen. And a lot of times there are people that doubt all of them, that they are never going to be successful. But they always prove themselves right, that they trust their instinct. So this is something worth looking into. And therefore, I also say using sports as an avenue, as a topic, to look at what entrepreneurship is about and bring out that value.
So it'll be interesting to find out for season 2. Stay tuned with us as we go along this journey. We have not really decided when we're going to release that season 2, because season 1 is still broadcasting, publishing. Stay tuned every single week on Wednesday. Subscribe to our channel, Henri and Mike, and you'll get to know more about the latest news that's coming out. Subscribe to our newsletter and the different social media, like from Twitter to Instagram, Henri and Mike, the same thing. With that, you'll get the latest news of what Henri and Mike is up to. I'll be going back to Europe next month. I don't know how long I'll be staying, but I'll going back there. But of course, we will do some episode for the online filming.
The virtual way.
Yeah, the virtual way. So it'll be a new dynamic, and then hopefully to bring out more content for you guys. Anyway, so with that, we come to an end of Henri and Mike, episode 20, season 1. And thank you very much for staying tuned all this while. Please subscribe, comments. Don't forget to smile, keeping each other company. This is Henri.
This is Mike.
We shall see you in the very next season. Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Does that deserve a fist bump?
2, maybe.
Okay, 2 fist bump. 1, 2. Right,
Two
great
fist
stuff.
bump. That's a good start.
Look at this guy.
Season finale.